Kathleen Kennedy, the producer of Lucasfilm, the president of Lucasfilm, has extended her contract, her deal, for another 3 years. And many people seem to completely hate Kathleen Kennedy. And I don't really understand why. I mean, she's been a prominent film producer for the last 40 odd years or so, um, basically for a really long time. And I'm just going through the list now. She executive produced I think the Jurassic Park movies. She did Indiana Jones. She did Raiders of the Lost Ark, um, Last Crusade, Schindler's List. She did some big movies, and I thought a lot of people seem to have a big problem with Kathleen Kennedy, and she's been given a contract for another 3 years. There were rumours that she was going to be sacked for some reason, so I'm just going to go through my general thoughts on what I think of every single Star Wars movie that she's released so far, because I haven't got time to go through every movie she's released, because she's done so many. She's done Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, it's insane. Obviously, she's produced these. She hasn't written any of these. She hasn't directed any of these, but it's still a prominent quality and a prominent, it's a pretty cool thing to boast about. The Adventures of Tintin, Warhorse, Lincoln. Anyway, Star Wars films. Star Wars The Force Awakens is a pretty derivative movie, but I really enjoyed it. You've got to remember that this was the first ever Disney Star Wars movie that they released, so they didn't want to do anything too ballsy, they didn't want to do anything too crazy. They wanted to keep audiences on side, so what better way to do it than to effectively repeat the very first Star Wars movie, A New Hope? And people have been very. The response to The Force Awakens is fascinating because there were some people who loved it, who were elated when they saw it, and then they kind of thought about it for a week, and then they went on the internet, and then they hated it. And I still like it. I don't really care that it's a repeat of A New Hope because it makes perfect sense that it's a repeat. It was to gently reintroduce the Star Wars universe after the really rubbish prequels to a wide audience who could just enjoy a movie without having to think too hard about it. And then, gradually, Disney can expand things. This was only the first, this was the first Disney Star Wars movie, so they couldn't just do anything. They couldn't just muck about and throw in all these crazy themes instantly because everyone would get very annoyed. So they thought, well, let's just do it. Let's start it gently. Let's just do it easily. Let's not rush into things too bonkersly. Anyway, the second film that they released obviously was Rogue One, and I have mixed views on Rogue One. I think Rogue One is great, and I get a lot of flack for this, but Rogue One's a little bit like the Phantom Menace. It has two all right acts that don't really contribute to the overall story, in my opinion. And they have a third act, which is really exciting and really amazing, and you have a final battle, which is exhilarating, and a final moment, a moment, not like a scene or a plot point, just a moment which everybody bangs on about. So in Phantom Menace, you had Darth Maul, and in Rogue One, you have Darth Vader down the corridor. But I'm not saying Rogue One is as bad as the Phantom Menace. It's not. It's a lot better. Um, it's a competently made movie, certainly, and I do enjoy it. And The Last Jedi, oh boy, The Last Jedi is a little bit crazy. It has to be said. The Last Jedi is a movie which I have a variety of opinions on, depending on which bit I'm talking about. I don't like the Canto Bight segment. There's a ton I don't like, basically. And I have to at least appreciate The Last Jedi for being completely different from any movie that's gone before it. And yeah, I broadly speaking like The Last Jedi, and I will probably get crucified by somebody for saying that I like a movie, but I like it. And this isn't, I'm not going to do like a review of it because the movie's been out for ages, and I might one day, but yeah. I think it did had some really interesting themes. They killed off Snoke, which I thought was brilliant. Unexpected twist. Um, yeah, I think it was a good step in the right direction. Really, it was kind of moving beyond the Skywalkers. And Solo, the latest movie, which obviously didn't do too well at the box office, but I did enjoy it nonetheless. That was a movie which I found to be exciting. I really like the contrast between orange and and it has a very sort of a lot of orange lighting. I like that a lot, and the it just feels like a western. Feels like a western. I've already done a review of it, which you can find on my channel. So I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Essentially, I have enjoyed every single Star Wars movie that Kathleen Kennedy has produced since 2015. Obviously, I haven't liked them all the same way, but I've enjoyed them. And what Star Wars is going to do now is going to move beyond the Skywalkers. It won't be burdened by these old popular characters from the past. It can create new characters where it won't be held back by having to be consistent or anything like that. It can just do whatever it wants, and that is where Star Wars can really spread its wings. I mean, that sounds a bit cheesy, but it can really go on and on and on and on without having to have irritating fans saying it's inaccurate. And obviously, episode 9 comes out in 2019, and actually, she's producing the next Indiana Jones film, so we'll see how that goes.